One day as G-Stew, the trickster rabbit, was walking down the path, his stomach was really growly. You see, he was very hungry. And every time it would growl, he would grab his stomach and say, "Oh my goodness, I gotta find me something to eat." And he would look up into the trees, but all he could see were leaves and sticks. He would shake his head. "I can't make anything out of that." Again, he continued walking, and his stomach would growl again. "Oh my goodness, I gotta find me something to eat." And he looked up on the ground, but all he saw were dirt and rocks. Can't make anything out of that either. He came to the edge of a very large pond, and he sat down on the pond bank, and he began to feel sorry for himself. As he cried out, "Oh, I'm hungry! Somebody bring me something to eat!" But there was no one there to hear his cries. And so he began to cry. As he sat there on the pond bank and crying, feeling sorry for himself, he heard a splash. And when he looked up, there was a very huge fish jumping out of the water and dove back in. Rabbit could swear that that fish was making fun of him as he dove back in. And Rabbit jumped up and he said, "Oh my goodness, if I could swim, I want that fish right there." And as he started to look into the water, there swam a bigger fish. "I want that one right there," and even a bigger one. And his excitement grew more and more. And all of a sudden, he sat down on the pond bank again. He said, "But I can't swim very well. And I would rather starve to death than drown." And he began to cry some more. As he was sitting there crying, he heard another splash. He expected to see another huge fish jumping up, almost making fun of him. But as he looked up, there on the other side of the pond was Coyote fishing. You see, Coyote, he was a pretty smart guy. He had made himself a fishing pole, a hook, baited it up, and he was catching a very huge fish. Rabbit jumped up and said, "Oh my goodness! Hey, old man Coyote, let me have that one and you can catch you another one. You're a pretty smart guy." He thought flattery would get him a fish. Coyote pretended that he didn't hear him. As he reached into the water and pulled out a stringer of very large fish. Took the last one off the hook and put it on the stringer and threw them over his shoulder and took off walking. Rabbit began to jump around on the banks. "Oh my goodness, that old man Kyle, he's just stingy like that. All I wanted was one fish. I'm starving to death over here. I'm going to trick him out of all of them. That's what I'm going to do." You see, whenever Rabbit felt that he was done wrong, he wanted to get them back. And so as he ran around the edge of the pond as fast as he could, he was concocting a plan. You see, Creator gave him a great mind, and he was supposed to use it for good. He was supposed to find a way out of any situation, but more times than not, he was using it for his own personal gain. And this was one instance. As he was thinking about taking Coyote's fish, he got way ahead of the coyote, and he laid down in the path and he pretended to be dead. And along came the coyote. "Hey, look at there, there's a dead rabbit. Oh, if I take that rabbit home, I can have me a good rabbit gravy. Oh my goodness, I can taste it now," said the coyote. As he reached down to pick up the rabbit, the fish slid from his shoulder. And the coyote stood up. He said, wait. I've got all these fish I've got to cook. And so I'm going to leave this rabbit here for somebody else. And I'm going to go home and I'm going to cook my fish. And so he stepped over the rabbit and he kept walking. When the coyote was out of sight, the rabbit jumped up and said, oh my goodness. All I need him to do is set those fish down one time and I'm going to take them all. I'm going to try it again. And so he took off running through the woods as fast as he could. Got way ahead of the coyote and he laid down in the path and he pretended to be dead. And along came the coyote. Hey, look at there, there's another dead rabbit. Oh my goodness, if I take this rabbit home, I can have a good rabbit stew. Oh, I can taste it now with cornbread. Oh my goodness. And again, as he reached down to pick up the rabbit, his fish slid from his shoulder. Oh, that's right. I've got all these fish, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go home and clean my fish. And I'm going to cook them and I'm going to be satisfied. I'm going to leave this here for someone else. And so he stepped over the rabbit and he kept walking. When the coyote was out of sight, the rabbit jumped up. And he said, oh my goodness, I thought he was going to set them down for sure. I'm going to try it again. And so the rabbit took off running through the woods, got way ahead of the coyote and laid down in the path, and he pretended to be dead. And along came the coyote. Hey, look out there, there's another dead rabbit. Oh, these rabbits, they're just dying everywhere. You know what, I think, yeah, that's what's going on. I think Creator is telling me that I need to have rabbit soup today and to save my fish for tomorrow. That's what he's telling me. And as the coyote was standing there thinking, he said, you know what? This is just one rabbit. There's two more rabbits back behind me. He said, and this rabbit plus those two, that's 3 rabbits in my soup. Oh my goodness, I'm going to eat like a king. And he put the fish down and he turned around to get the rabbits. We all know that there weren't 2 dead rabbits. We all know there wasn't 1 dead rabbit. When the coyote turned around, the rabbit jumped up and grabbed those fish and took off running with a whoop. Woohoo! And the coyote turned around, he said, hey, you got my fish. And he took off running after him. Now my grandpa, he always told me, he said, grandson, if a rabbit ever comes running by you, soon, fast, he said, step back. I said, how come, Grandpa? He said, because somebody's coming. It might be Coyote trying to catch the rabbit, trying to get his fish back. At least that's the story that was told to me. Thank you, guys.